Okay, Math 2, Unit 9, Lesson 5. Today we're factoring difference of two squares. You want to make sure, again, you're too hard of a lesson, but you want to make sure you're paying attention. Okay, apply these two problems, x plus 7, x minus 7 versus x plus 7, x plus 7. Does anybody remember, we just talked about it before notes, which one of these should end up to be the binomial, the first one or the second one? How do we recognize that it's the first one? The signs are different. So this one's the binomial, this one's the trinomial. Go ahead and do your double distribution now, or your window method if you're using the window method. I'll take it off screen for just a bit, give you guys a chance. All right, does everybody have it? Okay, keep working. I haven't put up the answer yet, but this is just the work, whether it's the double distribution way or the window method or box method. Okay, what happens here where you guys said it would end up being a binomial? What happens here? X squared minus 49. What happens here? Do the middle terms cancel out? X squared plus 14x plus 49. Will that same thing happen if it was minus minus? If both signs were minus, how would this answer change? It would be negative 14. Would it still be positive 49 at the end if you're multiplying two negatives? Yes. So it would have been x squared minus 14x plus 49, but it would still be a trinomial. Do you agree? Okay. This right here is the one that we're going to be talking about today. Now, every now and then you'll hear me call it dots. Just remember that dots is the difference of two squares. So when you hear me say dots, please don't get confused. It's the difference of two squares. All right. Now, I really like these because the title is self-explanatory. What does difference mean? Plus or minus sign? There has to be a minus sign. Do you see a minus sign there? Yeah. Yes? 2 means there has to be two terms. Do you see two terms there? Squares means they have to both be perfect squares. Is x squared and 49 a perfect squared? Yeah. Yes. Now, when you factor, you're going to try to go from here to here. What's the square root of x squared? Do you see the two x's there? What's the square root of 49? You see the two 7s there with one plus and one minus. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay, so let's try some. Factor each expression. Check by multiplying. Okay, number 1. X squared minus 64. You're taking the test, you come across this problem, I will tell you this. The first thing you should look for is a GCF. Is there a greatest common factor between x squared and 64? No. The next thing you look for, are there two terms? Is it a minus sign? Are they both perfect squares? It's as easy as this. Do your double bubble. What's the square root of x squared? What's the square root of 64? And what are my signs? And if somebody else put plus and minus, is that okay? Yes. Yes, it is. That's your answer. You're done. What? Yeah, I know. It's that easy. The only thing you have to do, and you only have to do this part on the first 10 today. On numbers 1 through 10 on your worksheet, you only have to check on the first 10. The other ones you do not have to. So The way you check is the same way we did up here. You do either your double distribution or you do your window method. Do that now. You do have to check, but how many do you have to check on today's worksheet? Just the first 10. Shh. Guys, you're checking. Double distribution. Okay. What happens with the middle terms? And am I left with the original problem? Check. I boxed this in to remind you this is your answer. The check work is not your final answer. This is. I will look for your check work as part of your answer, but this here is the answer you would put on the answer column of a test. Got it? All right. Number 2. 4x squared minus 49y squared. You're taking the test. You get to this problem. What's the first thing you look for to check if there is a greatest common factor? Thank you. Does 4 and 49 have a greatest common factor? No. No. What about x squared and y squared? No. Okay, so then we go and check how many terms do I have? 2. So is it difference of 2 terms? Is there a minus sign? Are they both perfect squares?
Yes.
Yes. So we double bubble, and you take the square root of each. What's the square root of 4x squared? 2x. Yes or no? What's the square root of 49y squared? 7y. And what are my signs? Negative and positive, or positive, negative? Does it matter? Box it in. That's your answer. And then do your double distribution. Y squared. Did it work? What happens with the middle terms? Did we want that to happen? 4x squared minus 49y squared, is that what we started with? Yes. Again, this check work is part of your answer, but this here is what you would put on the answer column. Since we're only checking 1 through 10, are you okay if these are the only 2 we check in notes?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on. Number 3. Z squared plus 36. Go ahead and factor that quickly, please. All right, an answer? Anyone have an answer? All right, anyone else get that same answer?
I got it.
Got it? A few people. Does anybody know why it's wrong?
Because it's a positive.
Okay, yes, and go ahead.
It would turn out to be a negative.
Okay, all right. They both said the same thing. I heard because that's a positive sign, and what did I say has to be in the middle? Negative. And then another person said, I don't know which of the 2 you said it, but it's going to turn out to be a negative 36. Let's check. Z squared minus 6z plus 6z minus 36. Do the middle terms indeed cancel out? But that leaves me with z squared minus 36. Is that what I'm trying to get? Okay, so any other choices on answers? Z, yes.
You put a negative sign in the middle.
Okay, it has to be a negative sign in the middle is correct. So if they give you this problem and you can't change it to a negative sign, you would say not factorable. There is no way to factor this. Some kids will say, well, what about this? Will that work? That's going to give me positive 36. It will, but what else is not going to happen? The middle terms will not cancel out, so it's not going to equal this. Does that make sense? So are any of these combinations going to work for plus? No. It's not the sum of 2 squares, it's the difference. It's dots, not sots. It's not the sum of 2 squares, it's the difference of 2 squares. Got it? No. No, you don't have to. All right. Are we good and ready to move on? Okay, I'm going to squeeze number 4 over here. 100 W squared minus 81. Please stop the talking. I'll let you guys, that one does factor. I'll let you guys do that one on your own. All right. Alex, can you give it to me?
I put 10 W minus 9.
Good.
And then 10 W plus 9.
Beautiful. Anyone else get that? 10W minus 9, 10W plus 9? Did anybody put plus and then minus? And is that okay? Yes. All right. Are we good with these?
Yes.
Okay, remember, we're not done, but remember 1 through 10, you're doing this check work. Okay, I'm moving on to the back side for me. This next section, I'm going to write factor completely. Now, on the worksheet, they're broken up for you so that it's easy to tell. Please put your phones away. It's broken up so it's easy to tell. On the test, it will not be broken up. They will all say factor completely. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Factor completely means there's typically more than one step. 3y squared minus 75. Is that a difference of two squares? Is it a minus sign? Two terms. Are they both perfect squares? No. Does anybody remember on the previous page what I kept saying you should look for first? Greatest common factor. Good job. Look for greatest common factor first. Guys, if you're stuck on the test, ask yourself, did I look for a greatest common factor? That's usually where kids mess up. What is my greatest common factor here? Do you agree it's just 3, not 3y or 3y squared? Okay, leaving behind y squared minus 3 times what? Is 75. Did I hear it? What is it? 25. Cover the 3. Is y squared minus 25 a difference of two squares? Minus sign 2 times both a perfect square. Yes, they are. Put your 3 in the front and factor y squared minus 25. You will not have to check these on the test either. You'll be done after this. Helvid, can you tell me what you factored it to?
5 times 5 and
I'm gonna have
I
you.
need to take a second to look at
It's okay. I'm gonna have you put that away though, okay? And focus with the rest of us. Ethan, can you give it to us?
Y minus 5, and then y plus 5.
Good job. Don't forget that 3 on the outside. Guys, you know what's unfortunate on the test? I grade it and kids only give me this. If you only give me that, do I have to mark it wrong? Yes, and the unfortunate part is I'll see the 3 in their workspace, but if you do not write it in your answer column, it is wrong. Okay, number 2. 27x squared minus 27. Is this a difference of two squares?
Yes.
No. There's a minus sign. There's 2 terms, but they're not perfect squares. What do we look for first?
The common thing.
Okay. On today's assignment, these GCF problems will come up when it says factor completely. So I'll put a note here. That means you're doing GCF first. On the test, is it going to give you that hint? No, they're all going to say factor completely. Some have a GCF, some don't. Okay, what's my GCF here? 27 is correct. Leaving me with x squared minus, don't forget it, what's there? 1 is correct. X squared minus 1. Cover the 27. Is this a perfect square? The x squared and the 1.
Yes.
1's a perfect square. What's the square root of 1? 1. Double bubble. Don't forget your 27 on the outside. And Wendy, I'm going to have you give me this one when you're done. plus 1? Good. X minus 1, x plus 1 with the 27 in the front. Do we all agree? All right, number 3. I'm going to have you guys do this one quickly. 4 squared minus 100. Go.
Don't say that.
All right, any of you guys done?
No.
Did anybody get this?
No.
A few yeses? Yes? Okay, I will tell you this. If you get this on the test, it's wrong. All right, now, hold on. Remember what we've said. First off, is 4x squared a perfect square?
Yeah.
Is 100 a perfect square?
Yeah.
And there's a minus sign.
Yeah.
How do we know this is wrong? Mason gave it to us in the beginning of class. How do we know if something's wrong, if there's still a what inside? Do they both have a GCF? Then what does that mean from the beginning? What should we have done first? Okay, now, listening. Do we all agree the first two were really easy to recognize there was a GCF because they were not perfect squares? Why do you think people mess this one up? Because they're both perfect squares, but you still have to train your brain to look for the GCF first. So what's my GCF? 4. X squared minus 4 times what is 100? And now do your difference of 2 squares. Ali, can you tell me what you have after you factor? Good job. With the 4 on the outside? All right. Did anybody get that answer from the beginning? I did. A few of you did? Yes? All right. Good job. Any questions?